Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Big Brand Bets. And today I have with me Ruchika Malhan Verma. She's a lady who's wearing multiple hats, and let me say, she manages to do it amazingly well. Hi Ruchika, nice to have you here. And now please cue us in into your various designations that you have and how you manage to do it with so much versatility.
Thank you, Vinita. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on the show. At Generali Central Insurance, my designation is the Chief Marketing, Customer, and Impact Officer. I also manage a sales channel and the PNL, which is web sales. Plus, I look at CSR, I look at DEI, and sustainability. So, all of this kind of culminates into marketing and customer and impact.
And you do all of this within 24 hours.
There is a saying that the only thing fair in life is time because everybody's got 24 hours.
So how do you manage to do this? Take on so many roles, looking after the P&L also, looking after the customer experience also, and of course the CMO's role, which is a very key one.
Well, I love my job. And it's that passion that gets me, up every morning. So I look forward to it. And what can I say? I've got a fantastic team and a fantastic ecosystem that allows me to do all of this.
I'm sure that team must have really come in together last year in August 2025, if I'm not mistaken, when the company went through a big rebranding exercise, right? And I'm guessing that all of y'all got together to burn the midnight oil. And this is the second time that you have been involved in a rebranding exercise of this scale. So, what were some of the standout moments for you?
Mhm. Oh yes, I've been lucky enough that this has happened twice in my career. For most marketing professionals, it doesn't even happen once. So I'm blessed in that sense. When you do rebranding at this scale, it is as much about reassurance as it is about reinvention. So let me help everybody understand that a little bit better, right? The first challenge that we had was really look at both the JV partners and ensure that their brand equity is taken forward in the brand identity that we are developing in an equitable manner. Right. So, on one hand, we had Generali, which has a 195-year-old history. They come with very strong expertise in insurance. They come with, a lot of global best practices. And on the other hand, we had Central Bank of India, which comes with, reach, access, and trust. And when we looked at what the consumers felt about both the brands, we realized that Generali actually stood for being, technologically ahead, customer oriented, digital first, and of course Central Bank of India was all about trust. So we really had to ensure that the new brand identity that we create takes forward both these values, and takes it forward in a way that both the brands are equitable. And I think that the final brand identity that we did does bring that alive. But that was just creation of the identity. The next step was really operationalizing it, right? And anybody who's done rebranding understands how operationally intensive it is to change a brand that exists on more than 10,000 surfaces, right? So the brand existed, across policy documents, in our branches, on all our digital assets, and all of this had to be changed. We had done a 3-month exercise where we had an inventory of every single surface where the brand existed. And once we got all the approvals in place, we went ahead and within 100 days, we actually completed our rebranding exercise, which I think is probably the fastest that the industry has ever seen. It was definitely the fastest that, our parent company Generali had seen. The third aspect of rebranding, and this is where I speak about the reassurance part of it, right, was really to tell all our stakeholders, including our customers, that at the end of the day, the brand might have changed, but the ethos hasn't, right? We are still a brand that is customer centric. Our service levels for you are only going to improve. Nothing changes in your policy document, for example, or your policy terms and conditions. So there was a lot of communication that we sent across to our customers. We had to train our agents, because in the insurance industry, agents are very, very critical. So we had to, of course, train them, let them know. All our partners, where, our partner hospitals, our partner garages, our, vendor partners, everybody needed to be told about this brand change.
You make it sound very simple, but 10,000 surfaces, speaking to so many partners, managing to do it in 100 days, and also keeping the whole idea of reassurance around it. I'm sure there must have been a lot of challenges. So, can you delve a little on some of the key challenges that you encountered during this entire 100 odd days?
I think the first challenge itself was the brand identity, right? So when you have very strong brands, right, Generali as well as Central Bank of India, you have to do justice to any identity which takes both these brands forward. So we picked up the lion of Generali, we picked up the symbol of, Central Bank of India, and we kind of put it together in a way that showed, equitable values, and took it forward. So there are various stakeholders involved, ensuring that everybody is on board with finally what has been developed. So I think that was the first challenge. The second challenge was that there is no existing inventory of surfaces. You have to start from scratch. I have seen, I mean, I can think of maybe 100 surfaces at the top of my head. But when you start looking, that 100 becomes 200, becomes 5,000, it becomes 10,000, right? And that is exactly what happened. And it took a long time for us to really put that inventory together. And while we were doing the rebranding, there were lots of times where you were like, oh, this particular surface doesn't even get used. So it is, an old product which, no longer exists. So we don't need to do this. But guess what? We forgot 10 other surfaces. Because once we started doing it, we realized that, oh, this is also there, right? So there is no documented inventory that any organization has, and it was really up to our team and us to really put it together. Keeping all of that in mind, we had to take a lot of decisions on the fly, but it was interesting times.
So you're almost coming to an year after the entire rebranding took place. And like you said, you've taken a lot of decisions on the fly. I'm sure some of them must have stuck and some of them are, need some kind of a relook. So, what are those insights that you have gleaned?
So, like I said, I'm very lucky that this was my second, rebranding exercise. So I had learnings even from the first one. And I think few of the things, only if you are in an industry or where rebranding is common, or if you know that this is coming up, don't wait. Don't wait for the approvals to come through. Don't wait for all the paperwork to happen. Already start. So we started, almost 6 months before the rebranding actually, took place, because we knew this was going on and we had already started putting it together. So don't wait, because it is going to take time. The second insight is that it cannot be done just by one team. It cannot be done only by the marketing team, because the entire ecosystem needs to be involved. So get everybody onboarded beforehand. So I think the amount of time it took us to actually prep the organization that the rebranding is happening was equivalent to the time it took us to actually do the rebranding, right? Because it's not top of mind for everybody. It's top of mind for the marketing department. But we had to make sure that everybody's on board. The third insight, that you must have strong governance. So it's very important to have those governance procedures in place, so that you can keep track, and you can take, sometimes collective decisions.
You've spoken like a veteran who's been who's done that at least two times now. And you also came up with the Here Now campaign, which seemed to pin on the word that you mentioned earlier, which is reassurance, right? To reassure all your consumers, whether they were earlier with, or rather, they continue to be with Central Bank of India or future generally, that here is a joint institution which will take care of everything that is there. Were there certain insights, during the entire 100-day journey, which actually was the genesis for this campaign? Or was this again something that was thought of well in advance?
So, the Here Now campaign was launched at a very important moment in the life cycle of the brand, because this was the first campaign that went out which showcased our new brand identity and our new brand promise. And, even when we were managing our erstwhile brand, we were known to create communication which was disruptive and embedded in storytelling, and Here Now was no different. What actually distinguished Here Now is that it moves the narrative away from fear mongering, which is quite common in the industry, and the narrative is actually embedded in positivity, in empowerment, and the entire thinking behind Here Now was really that the future is built in the present. It was also almost a call to action to say that do not postpone your financial protection, do it right here, right now. Right. So that was really the call to action. And yes, this is something that we thought of while we were rebranding. We were kind of putting this together, and we said that look, the brand needs to be part of every new beginning. That is where one should think of insurance. So if you buy a new car, you buy a new house, that is what we have put in the Here Now campaign. It takes forward our philosophy of being a lifetime partner for our customers, where we are with them for every new beginning and onwards.
So you spoke about the fact that the narrative is built on reassurance, the narrative is built on trust, the narrative is built on continuing of the legacies that both the storied brands have come together for.
That's right.
But at the same time, we live in a data-driven world, something that I'm sure you are most aware of. So since the launch of this campaign, what are some of the insights, or rather, what do the dashboards tell you about how successful it has been? Maybe it could be in ensuring that the conversions keep happening, more people are visiting the branches, more conversations are taking place.
I mean, when we really looked at rebranding and when we looked at the Here Now campaign, we optimized it for top of the funnel. Because at the end of the day, you need to make sure that as a new brand, you are creating demand, and you are influencing trust. And therefore, the narrative was based in storytelling and was optimized to get the maximum reach and awareness. Right. And when we looked at the success of the entire rebranding exercise, including the campaign, we looked at across three things. We looked at the brand impact, we looked at the behavior impact, and we looked at the business impact. Right. So we looked at brand impact, which are your typical brand metrics. What was the reach, what is the salience that you've managed to create? We also looked at the kind of brand that people are perceiving the new brand to be. Right. So we looked at brand perception, sentiment analysis. We even looked at how some of our PR efforts are putting together the narrative that we want to get out there. So that was the brand impact that we were tracking. The second impact was your behavior impact. Has this changed consumer behavior in any way? Right. So do people want to now start searching for the brand a little bit more? Are they doing that? So brand search volumes. Do people want to engage with us directly? So direct traffic. What is the engagement? And then finally, business impact, right? Which is looking at marketing efficiencies. Did it reduce cost of acquisition? Is it impacting customer retention? Is it impacting customer lifetime value? Now, these are things which are not immediate, right? But we want to track all of these metrics, because eventually we want to see, is the direction in which these metrics are going the right direction. Right. So the business impact is finally your long tail, that's going to happen over time, but we want to start tracking it now, to ensure that eventually your brand, your behavior, and your business is impacted positively.
So while you're tracking it, Here Now was largely a campaign that was launched to herald the fact that now you have a new entity which is there. But it's been a few months now. Does that mean that you need to add newer legs to it so that, the impact, the business impact, the kind of conversations that your agents have, the kind of the nature of the conversations, the enhancement of those. Is there a requirement that now probably certain new nuances need to be added to it?
Absolutely. So watch this space because this was just the first burst. There are more bursts coming. And as and when we continue building on the brand, our strategy is going to shift gently from brand building to brand monetization, right? And that is where we are headed.
Innovation is something that has been embedded in the organizational DNA of your company. And this is like you mentioned, trust is something that you want to propagate more and more. But how do you do that kind of, you talk about innovation in your marketing outreach or your campaigns, also tie in trust and all of that, do it in a way that the consumer understands it. Because it's not a very easy way to do it in a 30 second or a 60-second clip.
Innovation is something which is not just something cool to do, right? Innovation makes sense if it is relevant to the customer. Innovation makes sense if it is actually adding back to the brand, adding back to the customer, or adding back to the business, right? And at Generali Central, uh, the marketing team, in fact, the entire culture of the organization is such where we are extremely customer focused, and innovation is very much embedded in the DNA of our organization. We look at cultural shifts which are happening and what could be their impact on our industry and our business, and we do a lot of insight mining around all of this, and use some of these insights to launch propositions which the industry has not seen before.
Can
So,
you give
for
me an
example,
example? Yeah.
yeah, so for example, during COVID, we realized that the adoption of pet dogs had actually doubled. And this was a cultural insight that we took in, and we said, okay, what could this mean for us? And we took that to launch a pet insurance, which the industry had not seen before. And, we got pet parents who were not thinking about insurance into the fold of insurance. Similarly, when we looked at women, you'll be surprised to know that there wasn't a comprehensive health insurance for women out there, right? So, for example, things like, IVF treatments, things like, menstrual disorders, cancer, women oriented cancers. So we launched a product called Health Power, POWHER. We launched it with a campaign that said, don't be a plus one. Because typically, when it comes to insurance, they are typically part of a man's insurance, whether a husband's insurance or a father's insurance or sometimes even a son's insurance. So we said, okay, don't be a plus one in something as important as your financial and health protection. We are constantly trying to reach out to younger audiences and make the category relevant to them. So we launched a proposition which was very much like a Amazon kind of a experience, where you pick and choose the features that you want, you put it in a cart, you get priced accordingly, and then you have your own insurance. So it's a modular health insurance. And the insight really behind that is that if you're 25 years old and maternity is not something which is important for you at this point of time, then why buy a product that offers you that and pay for it? So only pick the features that are important for you and only pay for those features, right? So these were some of the propositions that we were able to launch, which were disruptive, not seen before in the industry, and extremely relevant to our customers.
And these all came from social listening, or were these from some kind of studies or surveys that you commissioned?
It's a mix of all things. So what we do is that on one hand we do the social listening, we do primary and secondary research, we also tap into the wisdom of the ecosystem. So we are constantly in touch with our agents who are meeting customers on a daily basis. We keep taking feedback from them. We are constantly also in touch with our employees. So we do a lot of insight mining, and then we see viability. We look at market size, we look at viability, and of course a product only sees the light of day if it is viable, right? But we kind of keep our ears and eyes open for any shift.
What were the insights that encouraged you to come up with very interesting annual reports. I believe some of your annual reports are keepsakes, right? You have some which are presented in the form of rock music, some of them which are presented in the form of art, literature, and so on and so forth. Where did that idea germinate from?
So, our approach to our annual report was very simple. We looked at every single medium that was available to us to be able to deliver our brand values of innovation and human touch. And and the annual report is a perfect example of how we kind of brought both of them together. When we started this exercise, the first year our annual report was actually a comic book, because the thinking was that we want to simplify insurance, and what is a better format than a comic book when it looks, when you think of simplification. The second year our comic book, our annual report was a cookbook, where we looked at Italy and India coming together from the lens of cuisine, right? We have an annual report on Bollywood. We have on cricket, uh, Viksit Bharat. We just launched one on music, right? All of these are curated by experts, has expert insights, and are therefore collectors' items. But the innovation doesn't just stop there. So we are perhaps the only brand that makes its annual report available on Amazon and across key bookstores, so people can buy these, and the proceeds of this go directly to our NGO partners for community development and upliftment of underprivileged children. So this is how we've kind of looked at innovation and human touch coming together in something as humble as an annual report.
So innovation, it's pretty much understandable, is at the core of what you do. Whether it is coming up with products, whether it's coming out with how you talk about the your business performance also. So what is the next thing that one can look for, when it comes to innovation, not just from the marketing space? What is the next thing that you're going to look at it? Because now customer experience is also becoming a very important part. So do you see any aspects where you can lend innovation to customer experience? I don't know, probably have your insurance kiosk at live concerts or something like that. Maybe that's a little too radical, but I'm just thinking.
I like that. I like that. I'm going to look into that. So, insurance is actually a promise that is made, at the time of peace, but it actually is delivered at the time of crisis, right? And it is really customer experience that translates that promise into trust, right? So customer experience is really, really critical for us. And it is something that, innovation is definitely a part of it, but it goes beyond that, right? So, when we look at customer experience, we look at it across almost four steps, right? You have listening, which is very, very critical for us, right? We are all about insights, as you would have gathered so far. We have a very robust mechanism to get customer feedback. We have an entire NPS scores that we track. We have actually, our studies tell us we have the best NPS score in the industry. But for us, it's not just about a score. It is about the insights that are coming up from that feedback that leads to the score. So what have we done with the insights that we have received? And that could take multiple shapes, right? That could take the shape of making just a small process tweak which does what it needs to do. It could be just an additional communication that needs to be sent to reassure. It could be an entirely different business process re-engineering project that we did. So we saw an opportunity, for example, in our renewal process, and we looked at design thinking and completely changed the way that the organization was looking at renewals. And this included technology, this included process changes, this included communication changes across the entire customer journey, right? We made those changes, right? So the act and innovation comes as part of that as well, right? So how can we do things which are quicker? How can we have lesser, time to market? How can we ensure that customers get their claims at, the fastest possible way, right? All of those things are looked into. And innovation is something which contributes towards that. We use AI pretty extensively in that. And then we look at also culture, right? So you can't impact customer experience just as a customer experience and marketing team. You need to ensure that everybody in the organization is living and breathing customer experience, because they are the ones who's delivering it. Every single decision that every single employee is taking in the organization is impacting customer experience in some way or the other, right? So what we do is that we have, every employee has an NPS score which they need to achieve, and that is customized to that employee. It depends on, which function you're in, which geography you are in, and your ability to impact the overall decision making and the experience, right? So this is something that, if NPS is there in your goal sheet, you are going to look at customer experience, right? Customer experience is not just a boardroom conversation. We have made insights available to everybody across dashboards to say, in your geography, in your function, you know exactly what your customer is saying, right? Pick it up and do something about it if something needs to be done about it, right? So we've kind of created a culture where customer experience is lived.
So you're talking about the NPS, which is a very interesting thing. And when every individual in an organization also has an NPS score and then works towards a common objective. But what I'm also looking at is that, this also somewhere might push the whole narrative where insurance is seen as a push transactional industry. Do you feel that there might be the risk of over engineering that same approach where once if you have an NPS score that's tied up to you, where your agents are also responsible for it, and you have a proliferation of dashboards, that transactional nature becomes more profound. So how do you ensure that that balancing act is there, where you're saying that okay, we are looking at customer experience, we are looking at ensuring that we are looking after, like what you mentioned, that insurance is something that is availed during a time of crisis, not something where you're just trying to push a product because business P&L has to be done. How do you do that?
I think customer experience is really about when the rubber hits the road, right? For the customer, that happens when there is a claims experience. That happens when there is, when you have to renew your policy. That happens on what happens at your onboarding experience. So it's across that entire customer journey. And I think if you really work towards ensuring that the customer gets the best possible experience. NPS score is just a score, like I said. It's really not about that. It's really about what you are getting from that. What are the insights you're getting from it? So you are constantly improving, right? So the customer really wakes up. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, "Arey yaar, mujhe aaj insurance kharidna hai," or nobody says, that it's going to be a pleasurable experience, to claim. In fact, when people come to us, we know they're in crisis when they are claiming, and that is where really, the way we act as a brand, we can say what we want to, but the way we act as a brand makes all the difference to the customer, right? So we approach it with empathy. We ensure that the customer gets what he wants really quickly. The claim is really paid out quickly because there's so many stresses that a customer has at that point of time, right? Why should claims be another headache for them, right? And this is where we've used innovation and AI to really help us, right? So for us, we've used AI across multiple things, right? Especially when it comes to customer experience, especially when it comes to our claims experience, and helping us with operational efficiency. And so for example, we make it very easy for our customers to register their claims. They can call up a call center, but we also have an award winning WhatsApp chatbot, right? Where you can just go ahead and register your claim really, really quickly, right? And the way that chatbot has really been created, you can do everything on WhatsApp with the click of a button that you can do at a call center. You can buy, you can renew, you can put in a claim, you can register it, you can also track your claim status, you can see what is your closest hospital close by, you can see what is the closest garage close by, right? So you can do everything that you will need to do from a call center, but this is an AI based chatbot. And the human touch comes from the way the chatbot responds to you, right? So we have trained it in such a way that it responds to you with empathy, it responds to you like a human being. You wouldn't imagine that there's not a human being talking to you, right? And in fact, if it's not very serious, so for example, at the time of onboarding or the time of renewal, it's even quirky. So I joke that this is like the only chatbot in the history of the world which has a sense of humor, right? Because since it's such a serious topic, why not include a little lighter moment, right? When we can. So AI and innovation is kind of helping us deliver this.
So you spoke about how AI and innovation is something that helps you create products, services, incremental products also. But how are you also using it to understand marketing effectiveness? So, for example, if you're launching something, you're using AI to let you know whether something is working because you lean a lot into cultural insights. So there are hits and misses all the time. So how exactly are you leaning in on AI to tell you, okay, this might necessarily not work, needs to be pulled back, needs to be pivoted, or needs to be junked completely?
So, AI, we use AI across various things, right? And I think the industry has also started to see a lot of adoption of AI. And what AI is helping us do as an industry first, before I talk about what it does for Generali Central, is that it is helping us move away from being a reactive industry to a more predictive industry. It's helping us assess risks better. It is helping us, pay our claims out faster. It is helping us detect frauds, right? And when we look at AI for Generali Central, we look at it across how it is helping across three things. One is customer experience, which is what I spoke of, right? Besides the chatbot, we also use AI to develop tools. So, for example, we have something known as a need analysis tool, which is available, free of cost to our customers on our website. The insight behind that is that India is not only uninsured, it is also underinsured. And as a layperson, one doesn't know what is the right sum insured for me for health insurance, for me and my family, right? I don't know what is the right cover, right? And what this does is that it, by asking very simple questions, things like, your geography, right? Things like, your lifestyle, etc. It helps you assess what is the right sum insured for you, because the reality is that the same hospital procedure costs different, across different geographies. It costs different even across different hospitals, right? So you need to be properly covered, adequately covered with your insurance. And that is what this tool helps you do. It asks you just a bunch of questions, and through LLM modeling and AI, it just quickly tells you that, look, this is the right sum insured for you and your family, right? We've also used AI to, in our travel insurance experience. For example, when somebody is buying travel insurance from the website, we tell them, this is the place you're traveling to, this is the temperature, these are the top 10 things to do, so just some interesting information around the destination, all of it AI driven, so that you can get the best out of your travel experience. And we're just not just an insurance partner, but we are actually somewhere your travel partner as well, right? So we use it to enhance customer experience. We use it for operational efficiency. So like I said, it helps us deliver our claims much faster. We've employed it to detect frauds. And finally, it's also helping us in customer engagement. We actively use AI for our customer and distributor engagement. So for example, our renewal notices are not plain vanilla renewal notices, right? You will get a video which is a personalized video, where we have a celebrity. He's going to talk to you and say, hey Vinita, this is your policy, this is your policy number, this is when your renewal is due, and guess what, you can actually click on the video and make the payment in one click, right? And your renewal is done. So we've kind of enhanced the renewal experience using AI. We have also enhanced distribution experience. So we have enabled our distribution to send ads, again, celebrity led ads which are personalized to customers, right? So this has really helped us kind of move the needle across all of this. And I think finally, the role of AI, the way I see it, is that it's there to really augment human behavior, right? So I don't think it's going to replace jobs.
Well, thank you so much, Ruchika, for taking the time to speak to Campaign. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise, an absolute pleasure to connect with you. Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
So if you like the video, here's what you need to do. Click like, follow, and subscribe our channel. Hit the bell icon right below. And more importantly, drop us your comments. So go on, do your thing.